Hello, welcome to my course, Beginner's Guide to ELL Accommodations. I am Allison Brown, and here's a picture of me so you can put a face to the nasally Chicagoland accent you're hearing right now. My course has a Getting Started page with the course overview. The course overview lets you know that I am an experienced Texas teacher of ELLs, and that this course is meant for educational professionals who teach emergent bilingual students in the secondary classroom, which is basically any Texas teacher in 6th grade or above. The instruction is asynchronous in 3 sections, with the final portion being a summative project. And there's the way to contact me. The course objectives: 4 basic objectives, 1 for each of the 3 major sections plus the summative assessment. Section 1 is about defining terms and regulations. The objectives are listed here, going from basic intellectual tasks, moving to more complex ones. The required learning activity is this PowerPoint. You'll see here first definitions and acronyms, so we're all on the same page. Then TEA, information and laws, how students are identified, some common misconceptions about that, and a major misconception. Information about how big this population is. It's about 20% of the nation's EB students are in Texas. 20% of the Texas students are EB students. What that means, and a link to the source that tells, for federal purposes, why we do this. Each time that I seriously make the information more brief, I have a source taking you to the full information. But here's like a little screenshot, just a little piece of the information, and then you can get to the proficiency level descriptors again from there and see the whole thing. How to get out of the EB status and why it's so difficult, and then links to sources. These are all like TEA and federal sources. They're not just me. What I've done is make the information more concise. Additional materials can be found here, a 23-page document. This document even has more specific information that anyone can click on so that they have everything that they need. But I've made the most important materials for even passing the certification test for ESL certification in Texas. I've put that in here, the legal parts of that test. So the assessment, you need to get 80% or better. It's objective, mostly multiple choice, true, false, but here's one that's 4 points, check all that apply. Once students get to the end, they can get a copy of their responses. It will tell them which ones they got wrong and how many points that it's worth. It will allow them to take the test again. It will not allow them to take the test without completing all of the questions at least once. They could take it as many times as they want. Section 2 is about building rapport with EB students. These are slightly more advanced intellectual tasks where we're identifying and relating instead of just defining. We've gone from red to yellow because this is the second section. Again, starting with defining so we're all on the same page. And then this video is 12 minutes long, but it really dramatizes the unique learning difficulties and differences of the situation so that anyone who's unfamiliar can see it. Why is it important to connect from a teacher's point of view? Also, some major misconceptions, those are in red, ways to build rapport, uh, starting with learning how to pronounce each student's name, what not to do with that, and a video where people from different backgrounds talk about why that's important. Here's learning about students' culture, why it's important, learning about what your students find fun. Um, each of these has a possible problem to avoid at the bottom. Each of these I try to put in a video as much as possible to hear other teachers' points of view, so it's not just me. Building rapport with families is also important, so I include a app that's downloadable for free, and then further study with what teachers can read and links to the videos that I had. Then the Section 2 assessment is subjective. It's a discussion post reflecting on what you've done in the past, what you can do to improve, and what you learned in the class that you'd like to use. Section 3 follows the same basic format where we're going from less complex intellectual activities to more complex on Bloom's taxonomy. And now we're looking at strategies to use, which is a little different because it would be different in each class. As you know, a science class is not the same as a PE class. We start with misconceptions here. We start with why it's something we have to do, not just something that's good if you feel like it, and what the definition of a linguistic accommodation is. Then, just in general, how do you do it? Depends on what you teach. So here are some examples. In most of the slides, there's both a picture to quickly get an idea, plus a video, and sometimes it's the teacher talking and sometimes it's the teacher showing how to do it. Here's another video with a picture, visuals, again, a video. Here's just another example of a visual. Classroom practices come next, and I'm going to talk about that in the following slides with pictures. Here's two videos, one that's just general class and one that's an ELL class. So teachers can see it can be used for any grouping of students. Here's why we can use translations, but we shouldn't always, and things we can do instead, the repeat, rephrase, and slow down. Here are helpful sites and books that teachers can access and the resources I used here, followed by the assessment, following the same format as the previous one, but also what have you done, what will you do, what do you learn in here, but why is this good for any type of student, not just ELLs, and then the final project, which asks students to create their own plan using things from each of the three sections that they've learned, to write objectives, to use strategies, to make an assessment, to have different types of learning, and they would upload that here. This is my walkthrough. I hope you've enjoyed it. Contact me for any questions. Take my dollar out.